Welcome back to channel, friends. This is part 2 of a video I did 4 months ago, which was this video over here, where I basically showed you how simple it is to set up an automated investment plan, set it and forget it. In this case, I bought an S&P 500 ETF from Vanguard, and in this video, I set up a weekly stock buy for the S&P 500 ETF, which was super simple to do. And obviously, in today's video, I want to show you to what number it has grown. And that's just one of my portfolios. I have portfolios with many different brokers, but quite frankly, if you want to have a stockbroker where you can set up an automated stock buy weekly or monthly with one of the nicest user interfaces. I've recently done a video comparing all various stockbrokers, and guess what? Lightyear came out on top because honestly the interface is really amazing. I really love it, and it's just an amazing way to automate your investments over time. So now 4 months later, let's have a look and jump right in to see how it developed over time. And here we are inside my Lightyear account, and as you can see, I really love the overview. You only have 3 main buttons at the bottom. Over here I made a whole tutorial about how to use it, but yeah, just to remind yourself, obviously here you can search for anything, see the markets, how they're doing. You have your main portfolio in the middle with the Lightyear logo over here, and we'll dive into this in a second. And then of course you have at the bottom right all your various transactions over here, which just makes it so nice to see, you know, where your money goes and so forth. Because honestly, I try a lot of different brokers, and sometimes it's so hard to find, you know, when you received the dividend, when did you do a transfer, when did you buy a stock, and here's just so nicely, you know, organized, and you can even filter by various transactions and what have you. And you see at the very top actually the repeat order setup. So I'll come to this in a second, but it just keeps things nice, neat, and organized. And you know, for most people, that's really what you want, right? Unless you want to be doing day trading, I think it's definitely one of the better options to use Lightyear, especially if you live in Europe or UK. Currently, they're not operating outside UK and Europe, but if you are living inside, then definitely that could be a really good pick for you. Right, so let's go back into my portfolio, and you see currently my total portfolio holding over here. As I said, obviously I have, you know, portfolios with many different brokers, but I also have some of my funds over here because I just enjoy the interface and experience overall. And here you basically see 3 different amounts, right? I have my cash account sitting over here, which currently only accumulates 2% interest. Now, obviously it used to be much more, but as the ECB started lowering the rates, obviously, you know, they also had to lower the rates accordingly in line with the ECB. So now it's 2%, which is still better than nothing, right? At my traditional bank account in Lithuania, I get a big fat 0. So I'm still happier to get some interest on my money, obviously on dollars a bit more and on pounds as well. And this is the cash that is also part of their fund protection, right? So I feel really confident with that. And you can see the lifetime interest, obviously quite high, 652 euros. That was, of course, when the interest used to be even higher. I made much more money, but now I'm still getting a bit of money over there. And that's also the account that you will keep your money in if you have a setup automated buy. So if I go into my Euro account, you see here every single week, basically the outflows into my stock purchases, right? In this case, ETF, S&P 500, we'll come to in a second. But here you need to have money for that. In case you want to have more money in the savings, because you see, obviously, the interest is higher as well, right? I get 3.22 right now, even though it's variable. So sometimes it might be higher, sometimes lower, even though at the same time, it's extremely safe, right? I mean, most pension funds and big institutions are keeping the money in qualified money market funds. And if I click into this, you see obviously, again, my lifetime interest over here, where the money went and so forth. So I'm really happy with this, and I obviously keep majority over here. But at the same time, I want to make sure I have enough money in my cash account, because for my automated buys or any buy that you do on Lightyear, you need to have money in your cash fund. So just make sure you have enough sitting over there. And then if you have, it will then obviously get automated to trigger your buy order. And that brings me to the bottom over here where I see my investments. Now, in my case, I only have one holding. In general, I only own ETFs. I usually buy S&P 500 and Nasdaq 100. These are my 2 ETFs that I buy across pretty much most brokers. But in this example, I really wanted to show you a more relatable example, right? Because, you know, I buy, again, different brokers and so forth, because I know a lot of you watching me, you know, again, maybe you don't want to invest too much, or you don't have the funds, or you're early on in your investment journey and you want to start averaging in slowly. So I made a really reasonable repeat order. So if I go into my Vanguard holding over here, you can see, obviously, I started mostly buying from, what is this? Yeah, if I go down here, the first buy was on 5th of August. And it's really cool. These dots basically resemble every time I made a purchase, right? So you can see at different price points, and that's exactly the point of dollar cost averaging, right? I basically bought sometimes at high, sometimes at low, and the more frequent I do it, the better my average price in the end turns out to be, right? Because if I only bought once a month, I can do that as well. But then, you know, maybe on that specific day, when I triggered my automated buy order, maybe at that particular day, you know, Microsoft, Apple, Nvidia has a really good earnings the day before, stock shoots up, and I'm buying at a high price. And this way I get a better average price. At least that's how I feel about it. Now, obviously S&P 500 up 34%, absolutely mind-boggling numbers. So yeah, if I go down over here, I see my investments. And currently in total, I invested 2,000 euros into that ETF, and I'm already up almost 10%, 183 euros. Now I understand it may not sound like life-changing money, but this was just really like an example to show you, to understand and make it more relatable. Because sometimes we watch these YouTubers online, myself included, right? When I started off my investing journey, they show their 6-figure, 7-figure investment portfolio. And you think to yourself, well, yeah, it looks nice, but how do I get there, right? I'm just a student, or I just graduated, I have my first job, I have bills to pay, I have my mortgage, I have kids. Maybe I only have 100, 200, 300, 400 euros to invest, and I can't relate to somebody investing 10,000 euros a month, right? So I think I wanted to have purposefully a smaller amount just to show you the principle. And still on that, to be up 10%, obviously it's not a given, right? Markets can fluctuate, and that's certainly not investment advice, but I just want to share my own journey as an investor and how you could potentially do the same for you. So yeah, you can see over here, obviously, a couple of information, the fund highlights for that particular ETF is 0.07%. Right now, they don't have the SPY5, which I also buy on other brokers, but I think the Vanguard S&P 500, the VUSA is an amazing alternative. It's slightly higher expense ratio, but really one of the most popular, if not the most popular S&P 500 ETF inside the European region, and Vanguard being one of the most trusted and biggest ETF operators in the world. I think you're going to be in good hands over here. You see, of course, what's included in this fund and so forth, the regional breakdown. And again, you see all my recent activity, right? All the recent buys. If I go down here every single week, I bought that for pretty much different amounts. And why the different amounts? Because I bought one exact share. Because if I go to the top over here, right now, if I click on this, you can see it's a non-fractional instrument. So that means you would have to buy a whole share. So some instruments will be fractional, some won't be. So it means you can buy a fraction, right? So if you wanted to do the same with the stocks, so many stocks are also fractional stocks. So it really depends. You can always easily check, is the market open? You see the timings, which I also really like. A lot of brokers don't show you easily if the market's open or not. I can see when it closes. So in that time, you can trade. That's really good. And yeah, again, fractional, non-fractional. It just means if right now one share trades, in this case for 109 euros, right? If you only have 50 euros to invest, you could not buy a full share. So in your case, you would then probably set up a bi-weekly stock buy, because then every second week you would have 100 euros to invest, and then you can buy one full share. But yeah, out of a small portfolio of 2K, up 183 euros, literally just by passively investing my money over time. I'm really, really happy with this. And that just shows you the power of investing, right? If I kept my money at the bank, well, I would have gotten maybe 1-2%, as I've shown you before, in interest. In my traditional bank is 0. So I think it really makes sense to invest your money long term. And also keep in mind the power of compounding growth over time, right? If I go to the website over here, I'll link it down in the description below. You can check it out yourself and run your own numbers. But here we have a compound growth calculator to show you how your investment can grow over time. So let's take the same example. In my case, I select euro currency, initial investment. Now we are at 2,000 euros. Monthly contribution, obviously I do 100 euros a week. So that's 400 euros a month. And then expected annual return. Let's go for 10%, right? We said over the last 30, 40 years, S&P returned anywhere from 8 to 10. So let's go with 10% in this example. Annual deposit increase. I think that's also really interesting. Not all the calculators have it. So here, basically, you want to factor in that obviously, hopefully, over the years, you're going to get salary increases, right? Or you're going to be earning more. I mean, that should really be happening because there's inflation. So if your employer does not increase your salary for the next 30 years, well, you might want to reconsider your employer choice. So let's go very conservatively with 5% per year. And let's take an investing period of 30 years, right? If you're beginning of your career, it will be longer. If you're towards the end, then it will be shorter. But on average, let's take 30 years and let's calculate it. And you see, even with such relatively small amount, you're still going to have almost a total portfolio of 1.5 million at the end of it. So yeah, it just shows you the power of compound growth, right? At the beginning, you won't see a major difference, right? Even after the 10th year, it's only 100,000, but then it starts really exponentially growing all the way to almost 1.5 million. So that's really the power of staying long-term invested. And that's why I'm such a big fan of using automated investments, because honestly, many times I actually forgot about investing. And then I get a pop-up on my phone, your weekly stock buy was just done from Lightyear. And I'm like, oh, actually, that's cool, right? Because otherwise I might have forgotten about this because life happens, right? We're busy, all of us. And so the fact that I set it once and it will be triggered and done for me, basically until I ever cancel it, it's just so good. And you don't have an excuse not to invest. And that's how we see the compound growth. Because if I was to stop it, trust me, that number will never get to 1.5 million because obviously you want to start benefiting from compound growth in the future. So you see here my pending order. So I can just go into this and you see what it is, right? Every Wednesday, I said Wednesday, you can pick any date you wish. I just like middle of the week. I buy 1 share of VUAA, so that's the accumulating one. So that's not paying me any dividends, but you may go for Vusa as well if you want to get dividends. So it's really up to you. And then obviously here you can click on viewing, so you can see the instrument once again. And you see here the transaction details, which is also very important, right? You see the symbol, the order type, it's weekly, it's a market order as well, and number of shares 1. And from here, if I don't want to do this anymore, for whatever reason, I can just click on cancel and it will be canceled. But I don't want to cancel, right? Why to cancel? I would just go out of it here. And yeah, if I go back into my transactions over here, click at the top, repeat orders. Once again, I will see here all the various repeat orders that I have. Right now, it's basically 1, right? So it just gives it a nice overview, because I know some of you might have a couple of different repeat orders, which makes total sense, right? Maybe you want to have most of your money invested into a broad market index fund like the S&P 500, but maybe you're feeling a bit risky and you want to add some Tesla to your portfolio over time. So you could do that as well. You see here at the top, now it's fractional. So you don't have to buy a specific number of shares. You can just buy any amount that you wish. So I can show you very quickly. Just click on buy over here. And then at the very top, instead of market order, click on repeat order over here. And then the cool thing is here you don't have to pick the number of shares, but you can say the amount. And you can start from as little as $2. I mean, which is absolutely incredible. $2, you can do automated buys. That's really amazing. And from here, you can just select how often you want to buy, daily, weekly, monthly. That's also really cool. I usually go with weekly, but it's up to you. But let's select weekly in this case. And then obviously starting from when, you would say, maybe, I don't know, next Tuesday, right? Click on done, go ahead, click on preview order. And then you see here what it's going to be. Execution fee, yes, because in stocks, you do have a small execution fee. On ETFs, you don't. So that's something to keep in mind as well. And once you confirm, it just automatically triggers and it will be added to your other repeat order list. And it's just very easy. If you don't want it anymore, you can cancel it. So actually just go ahead and confirm that over here. Tack, take a second. And boom, repeat order is set up. And obviously every Tuesday it will be bought. So right now it didn't buy anything, but then next Tuesday it will be bought. So if I go back into my overview over here, now you see I have 2 repeat orders. So super simple to do. I mean, it's just really, really nice. And that's what I said, it's one of the most user-friendly platforms that I have seen. And yeah, if I wouldn't want to buy this anymore, because personally for me, Tesla is a little bit too volatile. So I'm going to cancel this. Do you want to cancel? Yes, cancel. And boom, it will be gone. So it's as simple. And that's really what I love about Lightyear. I think that's one of the strongest points they're offering. The user-friendly interface, peace of mind, and low-cost structure. And that makes it really appealing for EU and UK investors. And even better for UK investors, now Lightyear is actually authorized by the FCA, Financial Conduct Authority. So UK customers will now also have higher protection limit under the FSCS protection, now up to £85,000 per customer. So that makes Lightyear even more attractive in my eyes. And they're obviously just migrating all those UK clients. They will be under a separate Lightyear UK entity, and they will send you new bank details as well. So really dedicated towards UK clients, which is really good. And in case you haven't migrated yet, they just started the process, and obviously they aim to wrap it up by 16th of January next year. So really amazing news. And equally exciting, the Lightyear CEO alluded to the fact that next year we'll see the introduction of ISA coming to UK investors. So I think that's really exciting. So it just makes it a much more solid platform, especially once again for UK investors, because it already has been for EU investors. So it's really nice to have that separate entities over there. So really to look after each of the investors from those different parts of Europe and UK. And what I love about Lightyear, they continue to push the envelope and keep on adding new products, new features, and even the assets that they list, right? I mean, now they moved from 3,500 stocks and ETFs that they offered in the past to now over 4,000, and they keep on adding more and more. So really, most likely going to be finding what you're looking for. And of course, nice reminder that they don't charge for ETFs. So that's really very attractive if you like investing into ETFs for sure. And if you want to try out Lightyear for yourself, then use my link down in the description below and the code KAI10 to get $10 worth of a US fractional share. But please remember, this is not investing advice, and investing does involve risk, and the value of investments can go either up or down. If you still have any questions about any of the things that I mentioned in this video, pop them in the comments down below. I'm very excited to hear from you. Next up, check out this video over here. As always, thanks for watching, stay healthy, get wealthy, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao!